I'm ChezPride and welcome back to another Sims 4 related video. More so, another Sims 4 business and hobbies related video. And this one I'm excited to make, but I'm also a bit nervous for. And that is because I'm going to be making my real life tattoos on my most recent Simself. So basically, if you somehow weren't aware, and I already did a review type video on this and exactly how it works, but with the Sims 4 businesses and hobbies, we actually got a new really cool and really detailed tattooing system in the game. And it even includes a paint mode, like you get for animals, where you can pretty much make any tattoo you want. And of course, me being obsessed with my tattoos and tattoos in general, I wanted to put some on my Simself. I am a bit nervous though, because I feel like I suck in paint mode. Like, give me a pencil and a piece of paper, and I can draw a decent design for you. But have me draw digitally, more so with a mouse, might as well send me back to kindergarten art class. So I'm going to use the tools we are given and do my best to represent the tattoos I have and am getting, but I'm not promising 100% accuracy. Like, there's just no way. So as of this current moment, before I go get tattooed in a couple of days, technically counting per individual tattoo, I have 14 tattoos. But some of them go together to make a bigger piece, or some of them I got at the same time. So really, you could say I have like 11 or 12 tattoos, but I'll explain that more in detail as we go on. I'm also going to be throwing up the reference photos that I am using, so you won't have to fully go off my description. But if you want all the photos in one place of all my tattoos that I already have that I'm making today, I did just post all of them on my Instagram, and then the ones I'll be getting in a couple of days, I will also be posting there as well. And yes, I said I'm getting more tattoos in a couple of days, as in more than one tattoo. I've gotten more than one tattoo done at once before, but I'm getting tattooed for the last time before the swimming season starts, so I want to make it count. So I'm going to be getting multiple small, simple tattoos that I want, but they're so small that I don't really want to just have a tattooing session for one of them by themselves. So I'm getting them like in a bundle pack deal type of situation. So I figured since that's going to be in a couple of days, I might as well throw those on here as well. So I honestly think the best method here would just to be make the tattoos in the order that I got and will be getting them, so they're in a bit of a timeline, and I can just tell you what I have and the story behind them as I go. So I've given us a starting point with my latest Simself, so let's get to tattooing her. So as I already stated, there's a lot of things I'm nervous about doing in this video, especially when it comes to some of the more detailed tattoos that I have. But the number one thing I'm actually nervous about right off the bat is just going into tattoo mode. Because when you go into tattoo mode, it automatically takes off all your Sims makeup, piercings, and clothing. And like accessories, it basically just strips you down to where you can see every part of your body, so you're able to put tattoos anywhere, which makes sense. I'm not hating that. It's just, I'm weird about my body, and I've never seen my Sim without makeup. So, I feel very weird going into this, because I feel like she's gonna look completely different. I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm weird about my body. I barely ever really wear makeup in real life, but like I said, I've never seen my Sim without makeup. I don't know, it's a whole nervous system here, but we're gonna just jump into it, and we are gonna go to body, and we are gonna go to tattoos. And here we are. Yeah, my Sim looks weird without clothes. Alright, anyways, as you can see, I did kind of put a preset tattoo here. I am going to adjust it, but it's going to be one of the last ones I do, because this is actually referencing my newest tattoo I have currently. So we're just going to ignore this for now. We're going to customize it later. I just wanted to go ahead and put it because there's no way that I could have made that look good. So I am customizing someone else's. So my first tattoo is actually on my left wrist, and it is one of my nicer tattoos. It's definitely one of my most detailed tattoos. And not that I regret any of my tattoos. I do love a part of every single one of my tattoos I have. But if I had to choose a tattoo I regret it most out of all of them, it would probably be this one. And it's not the concept, it's not the reasoning, it's not specifically the design itself. It's more so, it's because it's one of my least custom thought out tattoos that wasn't just like a flash sale tattoo. And basically this is the tattoo I'm talking about, and this is my tattoo in honor of my dad. So when I was 18 years old, I was starting to look into getting a job. I had scars on my wrists that kind of needed to be covered up, and my mom was like, you know, if you get a tattoo in honor of your dad on your wrist to cover up your scars, I will pay for it. And I was 18, so I was like, yeah, awesome, someone's paying for a tattoo, I'll get it. So my mom took me to her friend that does tattoos, and I was just planning on like sitting down and talking to him about the tattoo and just kind of planning it. I was not planning on going in there and getting it done that day, but we walked in the shop and he was like, yeah, I can do it now. So I was like, oh, okay. So I had to quickly kind of come up with the design. I kind of knew that I wanted a heart on my wrist. I knew I wanted it to say best buddies because that's what me and my dad called each other. But other than that, I had no idea what I wanted. And he was like, if you're going to cover up the scarring, you need to make it very detailed. So we came up with the idea of a heart locket. And he kind of pulled up designs on the internet, and I kind of picked out one I liked, and I was like, but I'm not sure if I like the keyhole there. So we came up with the idea that we could put a cross there. Now, I'm not religious whatsoever. I did grow up in a religious environment, and my dad was religious. And I feel like I could have chose something better. It looks nice. Don't get me wrong. I do love the design, like how the cross is shaped and whatnot. It's just not really personally me. I know it's supposed to be for my dad, but I feel like I could have done something a little more custom to him. I do like the locket. I don't know. I feel like it could have been a little bit more personalized. And I'm probably going to end up getting another tattoo for him eventually, honestly, because I feel like this one's not really customized to his personality. It's just kind of a memorial piece. But I do like the fact that it says best buddies, and his favorite color was blue, so it's like a blue and teal mix when it comes to color. But then like there's like gray metal details, and the cross is black and the lettering is black. So I'm going to do my best to make this. Like I said, I'm not promising detail. I'm not promising pure accuracy. I am promising representation of the tattoos I have. So let me just pop it up on the screen one more time. This is the tattoo we're trying to make. So let's get to it and see how horrible I do, because I feel like this is going to be the one that just isn't going to look great. Okay, so I think for this one, it's best we just jump straight into paint mode. I guess I can have her lift her arm up. Yeah, I guess that's the best way to get to a wrist. So I'm very much using stencils where I can for this. So first, we're probably going to put the gray stenciling of like the metal. So it's kind of like a darker gray. Oh, we're definitely going to have to lower the size, and we're also gonna have to darken the gray so I can see it against my skin tone. It's almost like, it's not black, but it's definitely a little bit bigger. Oh, that's about the right size. I wish the color was even a bit darker. I don't want to make it black, like that, but I want to make it a darker gray. And then we can choose a full heart and make it like this teal color. Now, my teal in the tattoo kind of fades from like a bright teal in the middle to like a darker blue teal around the edges. So I think to mimic that, we'll do the dark teal first. How does that look? Yeah, that's about the right color. You need to lower it, make it slightly bigger, because this one needs to kind of fill up, but not overlap the lines. Something like that. And then it's brighter in the middle, so we can make it even a little bit smaller than that and do a brighter kind of spot in the middle to kind of give that effect of it fading out. And then this is where we're going to have to get a little creative in paint mode. So I'm not going to do the little circles all around, but there is like a little loop at the top for like what would be the chain you would put the locket on. So I feel like I'm just going to have to paint that on. And I have stated, I very much am not the best at painting, but I'm going to do my best. Okay, so we're going to get like a small brush, and it's a little crooked in real life. I'm going to make it not crooked if I can help it. So we're just gonna, okay, that did not look good. See, I told you I suck at paint mode. Okay. We're just gonna do our best. So we're gonna loop it around. That doesn't look horrible. Just even it out. I can always go in and erase. You know what? Good enough. Good enough. Now, it's The Sims, so I wouldn't expect there to be a cross. Like, that's just not something I would expect them to have. But I can use the stencils to, like, kind of make a cross. Oh, that's too big. That is way too big. That's not gonna work. Okay, so we have the cross there. It is black. Like, I swear it is black. I think it's just because it's over the teal. It's looking brown. But if you look here, it's exactly in the middle. I put it on the white and then put it to a grayscale. I don't know, but I touched up the locket part and did the cross. And then the only part that's left on the inside is kind of the swirling. And I don't know how detailed I'm going to go into this. I'm just going to kind of do some random swirls to kind of give the idea. But basically, because of the scars that were there, it had to be really detailed on the inside of the heart. So we basically did like a bunch of little metal swirls like that would be on the outside of the locket. I don't know. It was a thing. It was a thing. But I'm going to do my best to mimic that idea. Okay, I feel like I'm doing the heart I used to do all the time when I was in middle school. Like, I used to do this heart, which I'm eventually going to get tattooed on me too. But it was like this heart where I would make it all broken and then like come in and do a bunch of stitches in it. I don't know why I feel like I'm doing that now, but that's what I feel like I'm doing. Alright, and then it kind of goes into the cross as well, but I wanted there to be some definite, like, differentiation between the squiggles and the cross. So I think that kind of is the idea. I also went through and outlined the outside of the heart a little bit just to darken it up. And now, the part I am absolutely most terrified for, the writing. Now, I'm obviously not going to sit here and write out best buddies in cursive in paint mode. That's just not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So, I'm going to try to represent the bees and then do a bunch of squiggles. Oh, this is probably going to turn out horrible. You know, I think that's the best I'm going to get. That is the best I'm going to get. You can kind of tell there's two bees. The rest is just kind of makeshift cursive. We got the locker. We got the cross. It has the swirly designs. I think I did better than I thought I was going to do. It's not perfect, like, by any means, but it's way better than I thought it was going to be. So like I said, that first tattoo I got, I was 18, which meant I was legal enough to sign off on it and say, hey, I'm an adult, I want this tattoo. But I didn't pay for it, which I'm not complaining about. Like, I think it's awesome that I have a cool enough mom to pay for my first tattoo. Like, a lot of people don't get that. But because she paid for it, she kind of had a say-so in it. And she also picked out where we went and who it was done by. So I didn't really have the tattoo experience of thinking up my own design specifically and choosing a tattoo artist and going to that tattoo artist, getting a pricing, and then sitting down and getting my tattoo exactly how I had planned it in my head until my second tattoo. And I didn't get that tattoo till I was like 20 or 21, because my first expense I wanted was a car. So when I first got a job when I was 19, the first thing I did was try to save up for a car, and then I got a tattoo. So when I was able to afford my first tattoo, I actually paid for 2 tattoos, and that's because I got a tattoo with my fiance at the time, which, no regrets. I have no regrets on any of my tattoos. But basically, we got yin and yang, and I got the yin sign, like the black side. So it's like half of a yin and yang on my arm, and he has one on his other arm. So when we held hands, they were right next to each other. I don't know. It was a cute design, but it's way simpler than the other design. So even though we still have to go into paint mode, I feel like it's going to be way easier and way less time consuming. But we are going to have to go into paint mode because unfortunately they don't have any yin or yang tattoos, which I feel like is a missed opportunity. Like, I honestly feel like we should have dream catchers, we should have more bat tattoos, we should have yin yang tattoos. I feel like there's a few things I feel like should already be in the game, but I guess that's why they gave us paint mode, because they didn't want to give us all the custom ones. But let's go ahead and go into paint mode. So like I said, his is on his other arm. Mine's right here on this arm. So his would be like right here on this arm. And mine's the black half. So I feel like the easiest way to do this would just to do a black circle and then erase part of it. So let's go ahead and make the brush slightly big. Not that big. Not that big. It needs to be a little bit in the middle of those two sizes. Maybe like this. I feel like this is pretty accurate. So if we put it like, I want to slightly off center it because the black symbol is centered in the middle of my arm. So I feel like if we do that and then we go here and we use the eraser. Oh, we're gonna have to go into this one. That's better. That's better. So I feel like I'm just gonna do the curve part first. It's gonna probably take me a couple tries. So if I could just get the curve outline done, then we can erase the rest. You know, I think that's the best I'm gonna get. I know it's not spot on, but I think that's the best I'm gonna get. So now I'm going to make the eraser brush a little bit bigger and try to erase all this excess black. I feel like that's good, but I want to like bring this around a little bit more, almost just like increase the curve of the tip a little bit. I feel like that's good. Now you can obviously tell there used to be black there. Oh my goodness. Like this whole area needs to be better erased. I'm scared I'm going to erase my tattoo though, is what I'm worried about. Okay, well I tried to get all the excess black ink off. I don't think I did 100% good, but let's go ahead and do the final detail all right here of the actual symbol, and that is that we put a white dot to represent the white dot in the symbol, obviously. So I have to do a little white dot that's about the correct size. I think that's about the right size. Now, it does look like it's skin colored, but that's just because white doesn't hold the best in my skin. So I am going to put white, but it does look more skin colored in real life. Oh, now the end of that's bothering me. I feel like the end of that could be better. I feel like the end of this could be a bit better. Alright, I feel like the end of that is a little better. And the very last detail on this tattoo, which I feel like I'm going to regret trying to do with this small of a piece, but there's a little signature right here in the cove of it. So I'm just going to put a little squiggly line. Maybe just a little squiggly line to represent that. And there we go. That is pretty much that tattoo, almost perfect. I think that's the best we're going to get on that tattoo. Honestly, I'm pretty satisfied with that. We're going to keep that as is. So this next tattoo I'm going to attempt is honestly one of my favorite tattoos out of all my tattoos, and probably will always be one of my favorite tattoos. Therefore, making it slightly one of the more nerve-wracking ones for me to do, because I feel like because it's one of my favorite tattoos, I want it to be so accurate, and just because of simply what it is and the size of it and the customization in it, I feel like it's just not gonna be the most accurate tattoo, which makes me slightly sad, ever so slightly sad. But that tattoo is my customized shoulder coexist tattoo. And you're sitting here going, what in the world is coexist? What are you talking about, Chez? I promise you were probably not the only one. Because surprisingly, a lot of people don't know what I mean when I use the word coexist. So let me just explain the premise. So basically, coexist is a word that typically when written out is written out in different symbols that represent different things, but look like the letters in the word. So the word is spelled C-O-E-X-I-S-T, coexist. And the meaning behind it is to very much live in coexistence or in peace with everyone around you and live the most peaceful, accepting lifestyle that you can, no matter the other person's race, their religion, their sexual orientation, what gender they identify by, whatever their beliefs or identification are, you just basically live in coexistence with them. And the symbols can be interchanged, but I tried to use the ones that are most commonly used, except I did customize one of the symbols. Because basically, you may have picked up on this earlier on the first tattoo. I lost my dad at a younger age. That's why my first tattoo was representing my dad. But a little bit after my dad died, like a couple of years after my dad died, my mom ended up shortly dating this guy named Troll. And the Troll was from the Renaissance Festival. And I grew up going to the Renaissance Festival. My sister travels with them. Like, I literally only see her a month out of every year because she's always traveling with them. And she's a good bit older than me. So we've been going my whole life. And we've always been very involved. I used to help out. And now I go at least a couple of times a year. But there used to be this guy named Troll there that my mom ended up dating for a very brief time. But he stayed very involved in my life. He was pretty much my father figure of the Renaissance Festival. And to this day, me and his daughter are still like sisters. Like, we wanted our parents to get married. Like, when we were little, we didn't know 100% for sure they were going out, but we kind of had our suspicions, and we were always like, why don't you two just get married? We want to be sisters. Pretty much the only guy I ever accepted my mom dating after my dad died. But even though my mom and him didn't work out, he stayed a big part of my life, and he was very much into the coexist lifestyle. Like, he tried to be very accepting of, like, anything to do with identification or anything. And like I said, his nickname was Troll. So between that and the fact of when I was younger, I used to collect troll dolls, I replaced the pagan symbol at the top of the eye that is most of the time there in a typical coexist symbol with a troll doll head silhouette because it kind of represents him. So it's basically my own customized coexist tattoo. So there's the C with, that's the moon with the star, which I think is Islam question mark. I'm not 100% sure which symbol that is. And then the O is a peace sign to represent peace. The E isn't just an E, but it has the male and female symbols on it to kind of represent different sexes. There is the Jewish star, which this one gets changed out a lot for the X, but I kept it as the Jewish star because that's the most commonly used one. And or is it the Star of David or the Jewish star? I forget. But Troll was Jewish. So I tried to keep that in there for him. And then there's the eye that normally has the pagan symbol star at the top that I replaced with the troll head. And then there's a yin yang symbol. We just did half of one, but this one's a full one. And then the cross at the end to obviously represent all the Christian-based religions. And like I said, a lot of time the symbols are changed out to mean different things, but this is the one I most commonly was exposed to. So this is the one that we are going to attempt to put on my shoulder. Unfortunately, we are going to have to jump straight into paint mode with this one and just kind of go for it. I did look on the gallery. There are no shoulder coexist tattoos. I could only ever imagine why there wouldn't be. It's not like it's like not that well known of a concept or anything. Oh, but that means we are going to have to add an extra layer. Luckily, we can add up to 5 layers per body part on all of these. So basically, you can have like 5 custom tattoos, but like if you go into paint mode, they can be as big or as little as you want. So this second layer is going to be for the shoulder here. I am going to actually have 4 tattoos just on this part of my body or my Simself body because this is where most of my tattoos are. But luckily, we can have 5 layers and I have 4 tattoos currently. So let's go ahead and jump into paint mode. Like I said, I'm just kind of going to have to wing it. Pretty much. Let's see, let's get it straight on black because it's a straight black tattoo. I wish we had better, like, writing. I guess this could be better for writing. Oh, that's a little too thick. Yeah, I want it to be really thin, but I want it to be clear. And that's just not, like, super clear to me. I feel like maybe I should go up the size a little bit. Maybe that's a little better. I just feel like the quality of the paint mode for the tattoos could be a little bit better, but that's just my opinion. But like I said, it's CoEXIST, and each one of the letters has a different symbol. So let's go ahead and start with the C. So it's kind of just a C that looks like a crescent moon with a little star on it. And I almost want to make the curve and then like erase it at the end because I have the tattoo specifically kind of on like a curve right here. I feel like if I had a baseline to go off of, I wouldn't mess up the curve on the letters as bad. But if we put the curve like this, yeah, that's good. I can erase it later. But basically, I was planning kind of ahead of time with my tattoos. So I have the coexist kind of curved right here. Because eventually I'm going to have a big pride tattoo here. So it's going to have like the rainbow pride symbol with the pansexual symbol because I'm pansexual, and it's going to kind of match like the metal on my wrist tattoo. That was my first tattoo. But for now, all I have is the coexist, so that's all we're going to do today. So I think I'm going to try to make it along this curve, and then I'll erase the curve, and hopefully not erase any of the letters. Okay, so the first one is a C, so this one shouldn't be too hard. Oh, God. Maybe it's going to be harder than I think. Yeah, that looks about right. I think that's the best we're going to get. And now we have to do the peace symbol. So honestly, I think the smartest way would to be do the inside first. This is going to be very detailed. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Down. You know what? We're going to go with it. We can put a little dot there, a little dot there. Not there. Put a little dot right here maybe. And then bring this down. And then connect it. That just looks like a black circle. Oh my goodness. That's the best I'm gonna get. That is horrible, but it's the best I'm gonna get. So I am moving on. You can kind of tell it's a peace symbol. And then the next one is the next two letters are kind of the center letters. So this one, I feel like, shouldn't be that hard as long as I can make the letter E. The E is what I'm worried about. Okay, so I have a little bit room for the curve. So I guess we could do another C if we can. Make it about the same size as the other one because it's a lowercase e, but it's the same size as the C, maybe a little bit smaller, honestly. Okay, so I erased the line under it, so it's C-O-E, and then the E has a little plus here. That's why I went ahead and erased the line, because I had to put this, and a little arrow here. So we could just put a little arrow pointing up. Oh my goodness, this is such little. Oh, you can see the E quite easily there. And then the next one is just a David star Jewish. I forget if this is a David or a Jewish star, but it's one of the two. So I'm going to go ahead and actually erase this line right here for this. And then we're going to go back here. And it's just basically two triangles on top of each other. So we could easily go... And I feel like I need to erase the line a little bit better here. Okay, I feel like that's better. That's a wee bit better. Okay. Now, let's get the paint back. And we do triangle. That is not a good triangle. If we had tinier symbols, I could just do a symbol to do this. But unfortunately, this tattoo is smaller than the symbols we have. You know what? It's a little bigger than I want it to be. But I think this is like the best we're going to get. Let me clean up some of this glitch around it. But you can kind of see that it's a David star / Jewish star. We have a C, peace sign, the E with the letters, the symbol, and now it starts curving back this way. So I think I'm just going to erase the rest of this curve. Honestly, I don't know if we're going to be doing it as well as I want to, but the next one is the eye with the troll head. So I assume the eye is going to be pretty simple because we just basically, yep, there you go. That's it. That's it for the stick of the eye. And then, honestly, the troll head, let's do a little bit bigger of a dot than the actual eye, and then shrink it back down, and it just basically has a bunch of little squiggles for the hair. I'm just trying to get the idea of the hair going up and out. And then let's erase the edges of it, make it smaller. It kind of looks like a troll doll head. This looks like the emo version of my tattoo. Like, this looks like the emo writing of a co-assist tattoo. Oh, God. I bet the round symbol is going to be too big even when we shrink it all the way down, isn't it? Okay, but let's try to... The circle's a little bit smaller than the eyes, so we can bring the size of the letters back down a little bit. So this was kind of supposed to represent the S. So maybe we do the S first. Because, oh, that's, again, too big. Let's shrink. We're going to shrink. So we make like a little S. That looks like a fish. Okay, it's not good, but it's not the worst. I think you can kind of tell it's a yin-yang symbol. And now we can clean it up a little bit here. And next is just the cross. So like the cross on my wrist, it's kind of like frailed at the end. Oh my goodness. Let's see. Let's do this here. And then what I did on the other tattoo is I just slightly lifted the brush size and just kind of dotted it at the end. So it got the idea of it being bigger on the ends without me having to draw a little triangle on the end. Okay. That looks absolutely horrific. But you kind of get the idea of what I was going for. I did my best. I don't think I succeeded, but I did my best. So this next tattoo is honestly the tattoo that so far has set the bar for pain level in tattoos for me. Because out of all the tattoos I have gotten so far, this tattoo was my absolute most painful tattoo. I thought my cleavage tattoo or my collarbone tattoo would be like my most painful one, but no. My inner ankle for my grandma's memorial tattoo is the most painful tattoo I've ever gotten. So when I throw the image up here on the screen, it may look kind of wonky in shape, especially like the outlines are a little wonky, but that's because I was very much flinching in pain. Like, most of the time, I say tattoos don't hurt. Like, most of my tattoos, I didn't feel, or if I felt, it was just a slight discomfort. No, this one, like, had me squirming. I had to take 2 different breaks just for, like, a round tattoo. It's probably, in real life, just, like, 2 or 3 inches big. Like, width-wise, and, like, 2 inches tall, plus, like, an inch of steam. And yet it compares to no other of my tattoo pains. But like I said, it is a memorial tattoo for my grandma. And yes, I have a thing with memorial tattoos. I also just have a thing with getting tattoos with other people. I don't know. I love a theme tattoo. I love a memorial tattoo. I love a tattoo that when I look at it makes me think of someone I care about in my life. So I tend to get a lot of those, but this one was for my grandmother, who was pretty much my mom growing up. So basically, my grandma was one of the sweetest souls to walk this earth before she died. At least in my opinion, she was, but I may be a little bit biased because of the situation. Basically, when I was 6 weeks old, my mom was not married. She had me and my sister. My sister was like 12 and being a rebellious butt because she did not want a newborn little sister. And my mom had to work constantly. And like I said, there wasn't like really a dad figure for us to have around to help raise us. So after 6 weeks of family leave, my mom had to go back to work. And my grandma decided that she was going to move a couple hours away from the house her and her husband bought and come raise me. And the idea was to raise me out of the newborn stage. She basically was like, hey, I'm going to stay the first year. You can get your work settled. I'll help settle the teenager down. We'll get the baby out of the newborn stage, and then I'll move back home, and you guys can have your own life. Well, when I was about 11 months old, they decided to move about 30 minutes away from my grandma and grandpa's house. So when we moved there, which is where I lived most of my life, my grandma decided, oh, well, I'm close enough to my house that there's no really any reason for me to go back to my house. I'll just stay a little bit longer and help raise the baby until she can walk and talk and whatnot. And then she never left. Like, she just straight up never left. My mom decided to go into recovery, so my grandma ended up staying for that. And then my sister started getting into trouble, so my grandma felt like she had to kind of protect me and try to raise me right. And then my grandpa ended up dying when I was like 9 or 10 years old. So after she never went back to her house before my grandpa died. Obviously, once he died, she didn't want to go back to the house. So basically, she didn't move out from raising me until I was 15 years old. So while my mom was working and getting sober, while my sister was being a rebellious teenager, while my grandpa passed away, my grandma pretty much spent the first 15 years of my life raising me to the best of her abilities. And then my nephew was born, and things just got kind of overwhelming for her. She ended up moving out and getting her house back and trying to live on her own until about the last 4 years of her life. And then right before I got married, which she ended up letting me get married on the land and then giving me and my husband at the time the house once she passed away, because me and my husband at the time, or I guess when I moved in, he was my fiance. We moved in the last 4 years of her life and helped keep care of her as she went through dementia and all that before she passed away. So basically, she raised me the first 15 years of my life, and I kept care of her the last 4 years of my life. So you can very much tell that she was very much the mother figure in my life. So I wanted to get a tattoo that represented her. And honestly, the number one thing, and my family can vouch for this, the number one thing you think of when you think of my grandma is a cup of coffee. She always had a cup of coffee. And she was known, she would just drink like half a cup of coffee and then sit it down and then not find it till hours later and just go and make another one. She was a coffee addict. She drank coffee to wake up. She drank coffee to go to sleep. She drank coffee while she was changing diapers. She drank coffee while she was keeping care of my great-grandmother for the first 5 years of my life, because my great-grandmother also moved with us when I was 11 months old. She always had a cup of coffee. She even took baths with coffee. She always had a cup of coffee. She even took baths with coffee. So this is the tattoo I decided to get for my grandma. Is a coffee cup. Now this one is an espresso cup. She normally just had a regular mug, but I thought the espresso cup was cuter for the tattoo. And her favorite color was blue, so I made the coffee cup blue. But I made the letters on the cup, which is GMA, which is how I used to write out grandma. Instead of writing out the full word grandma, I just wrote out GMA. So in my mind, GMA spells grandma, but it's just GMA, GMA. And I put those in like breast cancer awareness colors because she had breast cancer when I was in high school. So that's kind of a node towards that. But I also wanted to do the espresso cup because I wanted to do like a little coffee art design. So the coffee has a little heart in the middle of it with like ripples around it to kind of like represent like creamer artwork. And then it has a little steam coming above it. So it's a very detailed tattoo. And I'm probably not going to put the full detail into it, but I'm going to try to get the gist of it. And for this one, we are going to have to go back into paint mode because once again, the gallery does not have what I need. I mean, why wouldn't the gallery have a coffee cup on your inner ankle? That's just such a common tattoo. It's so weird that it doesn't have that. Alright, but let's go ahead and go into paint mode. And is this the best? Yeah, that's the best way we're going to get to it. So it is a little bit higher up. It's not directly above my ankle bone. It's more like right here. But I'm trying to decide how to do this best. I mean, it's kind of in the shape of a circle almost. So we could almost start the base out as a circle. I think it's a little bit bigger than that. We could make the base out of different circles. I'm trying to get the right size of about what the tattoo is sized. I think that's about the right size tattoo. Okay, so it's outlined in black. So I think I'm going to do a little bit of the outlining in black. So we're going to make that. And then we can make the inner of the coffee cup where the coffee is out of different circles. I can also erase the excess here. So let's just keep that in mind. So we can kind of shape it like this. I want enough room for the Gma. So like that. And then there's a little handle on the side. So we could do a little handle right there. And then just erase all the extra lines. So that's not the exact shape, but it's close enough, so I'm not going to fight it. So we're going to fill it in blue on this part, and then this part is blue. And then the handle is blue on the inside, so we can make the handle a little bit thicker. Honestly, that looks a little bit better already. I'm actually really happy with that. And now we gotta do the part I'm kind of scared to do, and that is the breast cancer colored Gma. So we have very bricky letters, but I think I'm just gonna write it out. Does it go on top? Oh yeah, I can layer on top of the blue just fine. Okay, so we have G. Oh my goodness. Actually, the G was great, but the line I'm making for the M is not working for me. Okay, that's the closest we're gonna get with the M. And then we just need to do an A. Oh my god. Why do I have to have letters on me? Why did I have to decide that getting tattoos with letters was a good idea? Alright. You know what? I think that's I could do better. You know what? That's the best I'm gonna get. And that honestly kind of looks accurate to the actual tattoo. Alright, so the next we need to fill in the coffee part. So I'm thinking the best way to do that would just to be fill it in with the lightish brown circle. Okay, we gotta do it kind of small. But I want it to kind of look better. Okay, that looks actually already 10 times better. And then really, how small does the heart stencil go? Like, what's the smallest we could make this? That is not small enough. That is nowhere near small enough. This one probably also wouldn't be small enough. Why can't they make the sizes smaller? I feel like the sizes of all this stuff should have been way smaller than what they gave us, because none of this is as small as I want it. Alright, well, I almost want to say that would be our best choice right there, would to be do that. I have a single heart on my tattoo, but these two hearts kind of get the vibe of like the ripple on the tattoos, and it kind of fits in the coffee cup better than the other heart. So it's not perfect, but it gets the idea across better than the other hearts. So I think I'm going to go with it. And then the last part we had was just like steam coming off of it. So honestly, the steam pretty much looks like this. Like, this is pretty much what the steam looks like. I'm gonna obviously have to make it oh my goodness. It needs to be even smaller than that, though. Why? It's just, none of this is ever small enough. This is kind of small enough. Even though it's not exact, but it gets the idea across. So, there we go. We have the steam coming off the coffee cup. And honestly, that's way better than I thought it would be. I know this one was going to be definitely the worst, and I don't think it's the worst one yet. So I think that one is pretty decently well done. Oh boy, oh boy. Well, there's that tattoo. So this may come as a little bit of a shock to you, because honestly, it was a little bit of a shock to me too at the time. But even after all the pain I endured in that last ankle tattoo, and I will still stand by it this day, saying that it was my most painful tattoo ever so far, my next tattoo a year later was also an ankle tattoo. Now, this wasn't fully my choice. Basically, for my two sisters' Christmas presents a couple years back, I decided to pay for all three of us to get matching tattoos while both my sisters were in town for the holiday. Basically, we had to very quickly decide on a place where all three of us didn't already have a tattoo. And both my sisters are already very tattooed. I have my one sister who is my nephew's mom, and she pretty much will get tattooed anywhere that she can cover for a job. So she already had most of those areas covered. Like, her whole back is done. She has her hips done. You know, basically anywhere she can cover for a job is already tattooed. So I had to choose a place that she would get a tattoo that wasn't already covered. But then we also had my other sister who travels with the Renaissance Festival that I was telling you about earlier. And basically the only place she doesn't have a tattoo is her face. Like, after almost 20 years of traveling with the Renaissance Festival, she is pretty covered in tattoos. So the only place that that both of them had a spot available was on the same ankle, but just on the outside. So my next tattoo ended up being an ankle tattoo. And I was so nervous about it. Like, I was terrified after my other tattoo experience, but I put it on Brave's face, and I got the tattoo. And basically, we ended up getting a pretty simple tattoo, which I think helped. It definitely was way less painful on the outside of my ankle than it was on the inside. But because it was so painful, we ended up trying to go for a more simple design. And we decided to bring our sister geekiness out and get TARDIS tattoos. Me and both my sisters are pretty geeky and obsessive when it comes to shows. And the first show that we all obsessed over together, show, not movie. The first movie was Harry Potter. But the first show we all obsessed over together was Doctor Who. Because I love Doctor Who so much, and I have a couple fandom tattoos at this point, but because I love Doctor Who so much and we all watched it together, we decided to get a simple looking sketch of a TARDIS. So it's meant to look simple and kind of childish like a sketch would, but it's still a TARDIS. So it's in TARDIS blue, and it's just basically the lines and the boxes, but it's right here on my ankle, like a little bit above the ankle bone. It's a little bit higher because I didn't want to go all the way down to the ankle bone yet because, like I said, I was scared. But it's pretty small. It's pretty cute. But all three of me and my two sisters have this tattoo. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and add a second layer in here, because if my grandma tattoo got erased at this point, I might actually cry. Like, I might actually cry. So let's just not risk it. We're going to go straight into paint mode, though. And unfortunately, like I kind of pointed out earlier, the lines, like the pre-made straight lines we are given, even at the smallest size, way too big. Like, way too big. Like, that is not going to work. Like, my tattoo is like half that size height-wise. So, that obviously isn't going to work. But I think I have a solution that might. So, we are going to try to get a nice TARDIS blue looking color. Let's see, that's a pretty good TARDIS blue. So, the TARDIS is basically just a rectangle with a bunch of smaller boxes. So I feel like if we take the square, we don't have a rectangle. We do have a square though. And we could like size it up slightly. Not to where it's like the smallest size, but maybe like just a size or two bigger. Like maybe just like, let's see, how big is the 7? That's too big. Maybe we go with the 5. I'm trying to think very small, but not the smallest. Can you please stop on the 5? 5. There we go. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, so I'm thinking if we do... Okay, I need it to be up a little bit. Okay, so if we do a solid blue rectangle and just line up 2 squares to kind of make it that rectangle the right size, like that maybe. And then we shrink the square all the way down and use the eraser. We could kind of makeshift the outline of the TARDIS. So something like this. It was a little thicker at the bottom, so I think maybe the bottom slightly thicker than the top, even though the top is already thicker than the sides. But like I said, this was meant to try to look like it was hand sketched. So we have that outline, and then we can just use the actual brush and draw the center line. Let's see how well I can center this and how straight of a line I can make it. Oops, I'm still in erase mode. That won't work. That's good. That's good. I'm just going to erase it at the bottom. We can clean that up. There's a reason there's an eraser tool. There's a reason. Alright, so we have that. And then it has, like, squares. It has 3 squares on each side. So, how big do we want the squares? Because the squares are kind of supposed to represent the sign and the windows and the different squares on the TARDIS. So I feel like they shouldn't just be tiny little dots, right? Like they should probably be bigger than just 3 dots. But I feel like 3 dots is a starting point. Like that. Maybe we can then go in and... I know they're supposed to be square, but I'm not against making them round just for the sake of time. So maybe if we can get like a because the only square is way too big. Like we can't do like an actual square shape and it be a square shape. So I think I'm just gonna go and give it bigger dots on top of these dots and give the illusion that it's squares. I mean, it's round things. That's accurate to Doctor Who. There we go. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And then there's also an even slightly bigger spot on the top. You know, that's not that bad. That is honestly not that bad. You get the point that that's a TARDIS. Like, I think that is obviously supposed to be a sketch of a TARDIS. I'm going to take that for a win. I'm going to take that one for a win. Because I feel like that's pretty good. It's definitely bigger than it's supposed to be. My tattoo is probably like 3/4 the size of that. But I will take that. I will take that with my tiny skills I have. So as far as fandom tattoos go, I feel like for the amount of tattoos I have a decent amount of fandom tattoos, but I'm definitely planning on getting more between all my music fandoms and my movie fandoms and my show fandoms and my book fandoms and my game fandoms. I have a lot of fandoms because, my autistic ass has special interests and obsession issues, as you can tell by my whole YouTube dedicated to the Sim franchise. So, obviously the last tattoo we just did, the TARDIS tattoo, was my first actual fandom tattoo. But the next one I also really like, but I'm also really scared to do. And that is my Nightmare Before Christmas tattoo, which is basically just a big old Jack Skeleton head with a big old bat bow tie. Bat bow tie. Why is that so hard to say? And surprisingly, Nightmare Before Christmas isn't actually my favorite Disney movie. Now, I am not slashing Nightmare Before Christmas at all. It is one of my favorite Disney movies. But I also just kind of have a Disney obsession. Like, my mom literally will claim to this day that I teethed to Disney. I pretty much watched mostly Disney movies growing up. So it is fitting for me to have a Disney tattoo, and I probably will get more Disney tattoos. It's just everyone, I guess, between my style and the fact I have a Jack Skeleton tattoo and I have Jack Skeleton related things, assumes that Jack Skeleton is my favorite Disney character, or Nightmare Before Christmas is my favorite Disney movie, but actually Hercules is my favorite Disney movie. I was obsessed with Hercules growing up, and I'm still pretty obsessed with that movie, so eventually I'll probably get that. But for now, my one Disney fandom tattoo I have is a Jack Skeleton tattoo. And it's kind of in a weird place. Like, you can't really tell in the picture where it is, but it's actually on the same arm that I'm getting all these other tattoos on. This arm is going to be very tatted up. But if we look at the arm, the actual tattoo is placed like right here. And it works for the it being a long sideways tattoo. I just think it's kind of weird that all my other tattoos are up and down, and then this one is just side to side. But it was a tattoo I got with someone else. Like, it wasn't actually my idea to get this tattoo. Like, I actually given the opportunity, and they were like, hey, you want to get a Jack Skeleton matching tattoo with me? And I was like, yes I do. So they chose where it went, and it actually kind of worked because it ended up going on the arm where most of my fandoms are going to be anyways. So it ended up working out. It's just kind of an odd placement compared to my other tattoos. And also the scaling on it is a little weird. So I would say the base of the head is pretty much correct in to where all the details are on the skeleton face, pretty much in the correct sizing and placement. But the bow is on purpose slightly bigger. So if you were to actually take the size of the head and the size of the bow is actually like double the size of the head lengthwise, which it is supposed to be a little bit bigger than the head lengthwise, but we really wanted to emphasize the detail on the bow, which I'm probably not going to get the correct detailing on the bow. But in real life, I have the correct detailing on the bow, and it looks really good. So to make that detailing really pop and have enough room, we did make the bow slightly bigger, which honestly, I feel like just makes it more unique. So I'm not mad about it. So I'm definitely more nervous about the bow. So let's go ahead and do the head first. And honestly, I'm thinking about just using the same method we've been using with the overlapping circles to get like the correct outline size. So the outline on this is very thin. So I don't want to do it like the smallest size, but maybe like the next up, which is like the 3. Let's see. We have to keep in mind the head is also going to be a bit smaller than the bow. So we want to leave plenty of room. What would happen if I just typed in the number 2? Would it give me the custom size here? Okay, so maybe let's definitely put it more up towards the... I feel like I have more room on my actual arm because my actual arm is fatter than this. That's bad to say, but, it's true. All right, so maybe we do the head like that, and then we're going to shrink the size, do the eraser, and then, yeah, that gives that thin outline that I want it. Perfect. Perfect. And honestly, how is, like, the smallest size in this? I guess I should have changed the ink to more definite black, but oh well. Oh well. I kind of want to see if I can get this dotted line to work as the mouth, but it's not showing up very dark. Like, it kind of, like, is very faded. What happens if I put it multiple times? Oh, well, if I put it multiple times, it does show up, but the placement on that was all wrong. Okay. Let's go ahead and try this one again. So we want to make it higher up this time and then place like that. Yeah, that kind of gives like the skeleton stitched mouth that he has. And then we can just go into erase mode and erase the outer lines here. I don't want to erase the other tattoo. I'm scared I'm going to erase the other tattoo, so I'm going to make the circle area smaller. I feel like we did a decent job trying to line up his mouth. Now we have to worry about the eyes, because the eyes are not a shape we have. We do have kind of the right way with this smudge. Like, if we shrunk it down, I guess we could build it off of this smudge. If we, like, maybe go to, like, a size, let's try size 3. You know, I don't have to do the exact indent. I could just do the regular eyes, but I feel like the Jack Skeleton eyes, like, the indent is classic, so he has, like, these indents in his eyes to kind of represent, like, the angriness in his eyes. That's kind of it. It may be a little too much of a curve, but I think that's as close as we're gonna get. And then the nose is done with very small dots. So the nose piece brush has to be a little bit smaller, but I feel like if we just get the 2 dots, that's the main point. You know what? That's not bad. That is honestly better than I thought it would be. I'm not mad about that. Okay, so we do have a bow tie sticker, and it could give us a base to our bow tie. Now, mine's a little bit down, so there is actually lines that connect the bow to the head, like a little skeleton neck. So I can just connect those real quick. And then the actual bow, I'm going to put a little point on the middle part because it doesn't really have room right here to put it. But there's little ears at the top of the head of the bow tie. And then the bow tie itself kind of goes, not like that. I was going to say goes out like this. No, not like that. Like this maybe? I can always shrink it down. But it kind of goes out pointed like that. And then we bring that so we can erase the end off of here. There we go. That kind of looks right. Oh my goodness. The problem is going to be like getting it symmetrical on the other side, but I feel like if we get the first part done, it won't be as hard the second time maybe. Oh no. Maybe I'm not thinking that through enough because, you know, I would think that with eyeliner too, but that is not the case with eyeliner. Okay, so let's see. That could go there. I'm, again, not promising that this is going to be good, but the effort is definitely being put into it. No. I was trying to straighten that up a little bit. No. Let's see, like that. Maybe we go with the erasing method to clean this up. Yeah, I think that looks decent. That's not the worst. Is that not the worst? Now it's just putting it on the other side. Okay, is it perfect? Definitely not. Definitely not. I'm going to make this more pointed. Is definitely not the most perfect tattoo I've done. But for my artistic abilities digitally, I think this is pretty good. And I'm going to end this one here before I change my mind and start going crazy like I'm about to. Just see, I'm just ruining it. Like, I just want it to match, but I don't want to ruin it. Oh no. See, I say I'm done. I should just be done. Okay, we're done. We're going to the next tattoo. So this next tattoo is actually my other wrist tattoo. So it's about the same size as the tattoo on this wrist, but obviously it's on the other wrist. And I think you guys are going to be able to appreciate this one a little bit more. And I'm hoping it's going to be a little bit easier to do because it is my Sims tattoo. I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you're either a fan of The Sims, a fan of tattoos, or both. So either way, I hope you would be able to appreciate a Sims tattoo. And you guys knew it was coming. As big of a fan as I am of The Sims, there had to be a Sims tattoo. So my Sims tattoo is basically 3 different plumb bobs. So I have a large green plumb bob, a medium yellow plumb bob, and a teeny tiny red plumb bob. And kind of the theory behind it, besides the fact that I'm just obsessed with The Sims and I love a good plumb bob, is the green plumb bob is the biggest because when your Sim has a green plumb bob, they're in their best mood. So you want to highlight the best parts of your life, which is why the green one is the biggest one, but you don't want to totally disregard the negative and the bad things in your life because they help you grow into the person you're becoming. So there's still a medium yellow one for an okay mood and a small red one for bad moods, kind of symbolizing that you don't ignore the bad and the not so great, but you don't want to reflect on it as much as you reflect on the good stuff. And it's kind of just a reminder that the bad is not going to be around forever. The good is still coming. So that's kind of the meaning behind this tattoo, but I thought you guys would appreciate it because it's plumb bobs. So obviously they don't have this as an actual tattoo in the game, so we are going to have to go into paint mode, but I feel like this is going to be one of the easier tattoos because pretty much everything we need for this tattoo is already here. So if we go into paint mode and go to the stencils, let's go ahead and lift up this arm like we did the other one. Obviously we have this plumb bob that keeps popping up every time I enter paint mode, and it goes down to an okay size, but it doesn't change color. But we do have a second plumb bob option, which is more of a stencil option, and that's this one. And obviously that's huge, but it does go down to a smaller size. It doesn't go down to quite as small as I would like it to, but it goes down to a decently small size. So I feel like we could very easily just go ahead and do 3 plumb bobs with this stencil in the 3 different shapes and colors. And then there's like this star stencil that we could put in the background. Maybe we should do the star stencil first because the stars are like in the background. So these aren't the exact stars on my arm, but they're close enough. So this is the neon green. Oh, we're going to have to shrink it, baby. We're going to have to shrink it. Maybe a little bit bigger than that. Because I kind of want to like rotate them around to like where, like for it to fit the different spots. And we'll put the plumb bobs on top of them. So it'll kind of even out. So we can do this here. Maybe shrink it a little bit and rotate it like this to fit here. Just kind of basically filling in the area with these stars. That's pretty good. I feel like that represents what I have. And it also puts the dots in it because I have stars and dots. So that actually works out almost perfectly. So I almost want to do this as a layer on its own and then add a second layer to do the plumb bobs. So it doesn't like mix in the color wise. Yeah, let's lift this one up. So like I said, we're going to use this plumb bob. We'll do the red one first, I guess. Or should we do the big one first? Maybe let's do the big one first. So let's see what size 7 gives us. That may be even a little too big. We may have to do a 5, a 3, and a 1. Yeah, I'm thinking we're going to have to do a 5, a 3, and a 1. Now, my plumb bob has some dimension to the colors, but I'm just going to kind of focus on mainly making it dark green because we already have the light green stars, so I really want to contrast it. So this one kind of goes I don't want to mess this up. Okay, we're going to go here. I'm going to tap it a few times just to make it a little bit more opaque. And then we're going to shrink it down to the 3 size. Move it to a brighter yellow. Oh, the 3 isn't as small as I was hoping it was going to be. Okay. Let's see. I mean, it's slightly smaller, but not as small as I want it. Okay, we might have to do... What's the difference between a 1 and a 2? Like, how big of a difference do we have between 1 and 2? Because the 2 is almost the perfect size for the yellow. But I don't want, like, the red one to be non-existent. I mean, I guess it's a little smaller. It's just not as smaller as I want it. Okay, but we can do that one, and I think on the red one, I'm gonna click it twice for opacity. The yellow one showed up pretty good, and honestly, that's the whole tattoo right there. Like, I could go through and outline it in black, but I feel like I would just make it look worse, so we're gonna leave it right there, because I don't want to mess it up. So these next few tattoos are either going to be a walk in the park compared to the other tattoos we've done so far, or they're going to be more challenging than I'm expecting. Just going off the difficulty so far, they're probably going to be a little bit more challenging than I'm expecting, but I don't think they'll be quite as challenging as the other tattoos. So the next few tattoos I have are all my Friday the 13th tattoos. So if you aren't aware, a lot of the times on Friday the 13th, no matter the month, tattoo shops will have flash tattoo sales where they basically have a bunch of tattoo artists that draw up a bunch of different designs that you can choose from, and then you wait in line and you get tattooed by a random artist to the piece that you choose off the flash sheet. And typically, the rules, at least to the 2 events I have been to, where you have to get them on either your legs or your arms. So I kind of pushed the bounds on both of them. And both times, technically, I got 2 tattoos each. And all 4 of them are between the front of my shoulder and the back of my shoulder, because they let me count that as quote-unquote arms. It also helped that I knew the tattoo artist the second time. So most of them are in the back of my shoulder, and that's kind of where it gets complicated, where I was talking about earlier. This may count as one tattoo or may count as multiple tattoos, but let's talk about the one that's on the front of my shoulder first, and that is my quote-unquote golden snitch, but it's not golden, it's just a sketch of a golden snitch. And basically they had multiple Harry Potter tattoos on the first Friday the 13th tattoo flash sheet that I had to choose from, which had like over 200 tattoos on it. Like, this first event I went to was way bigger than the second one I went to, which had its pros and has cons. But basically, I went with a group of friends, and my best friend was going to get the sorting hat from Harry Potter. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'll get the golden snitch. And basically, it's a golden snitch flying in midair. And eventually, I want to add a 9 3/4 little number next to it to add on to the Harry Potter fandom, but for now I just have my golden snitch, and it's just an outline, so I feel like it shouldn't be too hard. I don't think I'm going to try to mimic the swirls exact, but I'm going to try to like kind of mimic it like I've been doing with my other tattoos. Alright, so let's go into paint mode, and this one is right about here. So like I said, right on the edge of counting as an arm tattoo, but even The Sims is counting as an arm tattoo. So we are going to get super black ink, and this is another circle tattoo, but I think this circle is actually too big. Like, it's slightly smaller than that. Let's see, this one goes a little bit smaller, but I think it's even smaller. Do we have we have other round type tattoos? We could do this. Okay, hear me out. This is going to seem a little weird, but this is about the right size circle. It could even be just ever so slightly bigger, like maybe like a 3. Yeah, that's even about the right size. And then we could rotate it. So this is going to be weird, because this is supposed to be a flying golden snitch, not Saturn, which is what this is. But if we put it right about here, and then we go in with the eraser and erase this part of Saturn. I wish I could zoom in a little bit more, but oops, I almost had it. If we could just erase that part, we can kind of use that as a base. And then we could just erase the inside, which is a little scary, but I'm going to do my best because I want to be able to not, like I said, put the exact swirl designs that they have on theirs, but similar ones. I feel like that's not that far off. And then if we shrink this down and put this back, we could darken. Oh my god, I'm so scared to do this. Okay, we could try to darken this up a little bit. Oh, that made the circle not perfect. Okay, I'm going to try. Even it out. And then I'm going to use this. I wish the wing stamp would be as small as I need to, because this wing is honestly perfect if it would just be the right size. But as you can tell, way too big. So we're going to have to use the brush. I wish I could zoom in more, but I'm just going to make like the basic shape of the wing. Like, it's not going to be fancy. It's just going to be winging it. No pun intended. Honestly, though, the wings kind of turned out better than I thought they would. I feel like it's a little big, but I feel like that's true about most of these tattoos, is they're a little bit bigger than they actually are. So let's just kind of like try to give a basic design on the inside to slightly match what we have going on in this tattoo. Now, obviously, I'm not going to do the exact layout, but I could do a line down here that goes this way and connects to these lines that are here. And then this also has a swirl here. And there's a swirl here. You know what? I'm going to consider that good enough. That's close enough. I could even actually do a little bit less than that. We could really try to make that act more like the swirl. There. I'm going to call it there before I start even like freaking out and trying to make it perfect. I will, however, just clean up this one little nick right here. That's it. That's all I'm going to do for that one. That is my Harry Potter snitch tattoo. It's looking like a little bit of the emo print, but it's next to the coexist tattoo, which turned out the same way, so I'm not fully mad about. So for my next few tattoos, I am going to be working on the back of my shoulder, the back of my neck, and my chest. So I wanted my hair to be out of the way, but I didn't want my sim to be bald because I'm already without my makeup, my piercing, and my clothes. I did not need to be completely without my hair. So I've given myself a temporary little cute bun moment just to get my hair out of the way. And then when we're done placing all these tattoos, I'll put my hair back down in its normal style. So everything is kind of looking more normal. But while my hair was up, I went ahead and actually gave myself my birthmark, which I didn't record because I was like, I don't feel like it's that big of a deal, but I figured I'd point it out because it is obvious it's there. So basically all the women in my family that are genetically connected to my grandmother have pretty much the same birthmark. Like me, my sisters, my mom, my cousin, we all have the same birthmark. It's a little bit smaller, but this smudge was the perfect shape. Pretty much, it's slightly smaller in real life, but I figured since we're working on my chest, it would be realistic for it to be there. And I think that's also kind of a cool way to use the tattooing system is for like birthmarks or moles or freckles. You know, if you don't have one that's already in the right spot, you can kind of customize your own one anywhere. So I just thought that was cool. So I figured I'd go ahead and point it out. But for our next tattoos, technically this could be 3, 2, or 1 tattoo, but for our next tattoos, we are going to be working on this back shoulder here. So this is a current picture of the back of my shoulder. And as you can see, there's 3 small tattoos put together. The bat was the one I got at the same time as the last one we just did for the Harry Potter fandom. And it was my first quote-unquote spooky tattoo. And I am planning on having like a whole back art piece of different spooky tattoos put together to make one picture. But this is the beginning of it. So the bat was kind of the inspiration. It's kind of the big centerpiece. And I'm going to make this piece like a circle shoulder piece. So each one of the back of my shoulders is going to have a circle artwork piece. Obviously different artwork pieces. But this one's going to be spooky themed. So it has a bat in the middle. And then at the next Friday the 13th tattoo event, I actually got the moon and the graveyard at the same time. And eventually I'm going to add things like stars, a dancing skeleton, and then I'm going to like do a willow, a vine, and a string of smaller bats to kind of make a circle around it and make it the circle shaped tattoo. So it's going to be multiple tattoos over time put together to be one piece. So you really could count this as one tattoo, but I also got it in 2 sessions, so you could count it as 2 tattoos, or you could technically count it as 3 tattoos because the moon and the graveyard technically counted as 2 tattoos. I paid for 2 separate tattoos. So however you want to count that, that's my back tattoo. So we're going to go ahead and just do this all at once. So we're going to do the bat first, then I'll probably do the moon, and then I'm going to try to freehand the graveyard, but that looks slightly complicated. So I'm not going to lie, out of all of the Friday the 13th tattoos, I think the bat's what's scaring me the most. And honestly, I know this like blacking out of the rest of the body is supposed to help, but where this is not helping. So I'm going to turn that off because it is possible to turn it off. And I do have a slight plan, but I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to work. But basically, this bat is somewhat in the shape of a triangle. So we have this triangle here. Honestly, I need an outline of a triangle. Do we have that? Or of course, we just have the regular triangle. Okay, so we're going to have to make our own outline like we've been doing. But I'm also going to customize it once we do that. So I need the end of the tip to kind of be right on par with the angle. And probably as small as, well, it has to be slightly bigger if we're going to do the outline. Okay. So we're going to do a 3. We're going to do a 3. Come on, slider. I don't want to type. Okay, we're going to do a 3. And honestly, it's going to kind of be like this. And then we're going to shrink it down to a 1, do a erase. And then we can get the very edge of that corner for the body. And then if we go back to the brush and just do a regular little brush here and also do it in a 3. Actually, you know what? Let's actually erase a little bit first. So we're going to slightly make these lines shorter. Just ever so slightly. There we go. And then back to brush. And we're going to make them curve a little bit. Oh my god, I'm putting way too much thought into this. Like, this is more than I've put in effort-wise to the other ones. And I'm just getting started. Okay. So it curves up here. And then here it kind of makes a head. So we can come here and kind of just boop, boop, boop. That kind of makes the shape of the head. Kinda. It's, if you look very closely, it's off. But we're gonna pretend it works. And then the wing, I give up. That's legit the best I'm gonna get. So if you remember, the bat's wings had like lines in them. So I tried to do the shape of the different wings because the wings had like 3 different sections. And there's no way I can fit lines. Like, just getting them angled into the 3 different sections was honestly hard enough. So on the next one, I'm going to see if I can make this easier on myself and just see how small we can get this moon. Oh, the moon size is almost perfect, actually. That's actually kind of a miracle. So the moon is angled slightly weird. Not weird, but, you know, it's a little bit of a different angle than you would probably normally put a moon at. It's a little bit more curved in to the center almost. So if we put this here, we can line this star up with the end, and it kind of works. And then we only have to erase 2 little stars because I don't have the star, I just have the little crescent moon. So if we could erase the little stars here and here, just erase these, and then we can make the crescent moon actually slightly thicker. That's not the best, but it kind of gives this gradient effect right here. So I'm not mad about it. This little corner could probably be fixed a little bit, like right in here. And then we can just clean it up right on this edge. And that looks, well, it did before I like moved the mouse too quickly. That looks ever so slightly better. All right. And now the part I've been dreading, because this wasn't hard enough, is kind of doing the graveyard. So the graveyard is like right under the bat, and there's a smaller little round tombstone. Of course, it doesn't want to like really show up here. Oh, it's because I'm on eraser. Duh. Okay. So it has a little round one here. I'm not going to go into as much detail as this actually is, because it's actually a pretty detailed little sketch. But it has like a round piece there, and then it has a taller rounded cross here. So it's like a cross, but it has like a, let's just make this simple and just do like a 5 dot. And we can do a little dot in the middle to kind of represent that roundness in that one. And then there's a shorter little cross that's a little bit thicker though. Oh my god, the thickness is not helping this situation. Wait, hold on. It goes down, and then the cross is even just ever so slightly more to the side. So we could do this little cross and connect it. Oh my god, that looks horrible. Let's see. The cross up here, yeah, that helps a little bit. Helps a little bit. You know what? I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with it. For as small of a tattoo as it is in real life and how much detail it has, I think for my skills in paint mode, this is good enough for me. So next we are going to do my entire chest, because my last technically 3 tattoos that I currently have before I jump into the tattoos that I'm getting in a couple of days are all on my chest. And technically there's 3 tattoos, but I got all 3 tattoos done in one session. So first we're going to take this dagger here and turn it into this dagger here. So this dagger, if you are not aware of the show Once Upon a Time, this is a dark one dagger. And basically a dark one dagger is, if you get assigned that dagger and your name gets put on the dagger, you become the dark one. And if anyone besides you has control of that dagger, they control your powers as the dark one. So it's very important that you keep it tucked safe in a special spot. So my dagger is actually in between my cleavage. But one, there's a bra I can't remove here, and it goes technically like down to like my like right under where the bra would be, and the top kind of goes to like right here. So imagine this size of a dagger just about a couple of inches lower, if you get what I'm saying. But like I said earlier, I did not want to custom draw this tattoo. I just want to edit this one. So this is the closest dagger I could find that was a chest piece that was already on the gallery. So we're going to make this look like this the best we can. I don't know 100% how I'm going to do that, but I know I got to go into paint mode. So I think the most obvious thing is these little side pieces aren't here. So we're automatically going to go into eraser mode and just boop, 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 boop. Well, there is a little bit of a bump out. So we can keep a little bit of a bump out, but we're going to erase the majority of it. And then this top piece is ever so slightly smaller. I kind of like the detailing on it. It kind of works for what we're going for. So I'm not mad about the detailing. I, however, am going to just ever so slightly add a little smaller round spot at the top. I don't want to like make it too obvious that it's a different ink, but it's kind of obvious. It's a little obvious. And it has a little round spot at the top. Okay. I think that's good for the handle. It's really pretty much as close as I'm going to get. Now, obviously, the dagger on my chest, the actual blade is curved, and it has my maiden name on it, because when, like I said, when your name gets put on the dagger, you become the dark one, And I didn't want to put my married last name, and I didn't want to just put my first name. So I ended up putting my maiden name because it also is another representation of my dad. So there is a word on it, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit that word on it. So we're going to start out with the curve of the dagger and see how it gets us. So my idea here is we use the eraser tool and we kind of use the circle maybe in like a 7, and we can like maybe even bigger than that actually. Let's try, what's a 12 look like? Let's actually look at it in paint. That's not big at all. Hold on, I want bigger than that. I want to be able to erase a good curve out of it, and then we can kind of outline the curve. So if I use this, but kind of go right on the edges, we can kind of add curves into the current blade, and then we can kind of reshape it a little bit. So maybe that could go into like that, and this kind of goes here. It kind of like goes every other curve here. So it goes kind of like that. Even at the bottom, we can adjust it a little bit. We can make it a little bit smaller there. And then if we take the brush and make it a very smaller size, we can kind of just connect the curved spots and make it look more like a curved dagger. Because like this one kind of has the right idea. And then honestly, this needs to be a darker black though. I think it needs to be a darker black. I don't want it to be too dark because it obviously wouldn't fit with the tattoo too well. Maybe we do even slightly lighter than that, and maybe even slightly a smaller brush. I'm trying to really get that fine detail in here. So, that's the right size, but I just went straight for that curve. So we go like that. And like that, and we can curve in here a little bit, and kind of go like that, maybe. Oh, that was close. That was close. Maybe a little bit more of a curve. Nope. I don't like that as much as I thought I would. I may have to go in the middle with the eraser. Honestly, I think that's kind of what the vibes I'm getting here are, to get these curves on the inside, right? So let's go in with a tiny eraser in this part and just kind of try to erase the middle out a little bit to kind of really highlight the curves we have for the dagger. There we go. Maybe we can... There we go. That is not the best. That is not the best. I'm also going to go in with very little writing and maybe just do a couple of like dots and lines here and there just to kind of bring in the fact that it is and does have an actual pattern on it. I think this curve is too sharp. I'm honestly thinking that's what the problem is. Maybe this one needs to be thicker. If that curve is going to be thicker. I mean, honestly, I didn't expect it to be good. So the fact that we could make it look like this, I think is honestly kind of impressive for my art skills digitally. Obviously, it's nowhere near the same, but you get the gist. So these last two tattoos out of all the tattoos I already have are technically two different tattoos, but they're the same tattoo, and I got them done at the same time. So I pretty much count them as one tattoo. So these two tattoos are my good baddie and my bad baddie. So we have my left collarbone bat and my right collarbone bat. And pretty much, I saw this on the flash sheet at the second Friday the 13th event I went to, where I was getting tattooed on my friend who actually also did my Jack Skeleton tattoo and the moon and the gravestone and my dagger. So when she finished up my dagger, she ended up doing these 2 pieces because the night I wanted them done was, like I said, the Friday the 13th tattoo, but the collarbones wasn't close enough to count as arms like the shoulders were. So she actually had me come back when I did the dagger and just did them and actually made them a little bit bigger and filled them in and pretty much gave me a good deal on them because I came back for them. So it was a pretty interesting story behind these bats, and they're so simple and you think they would just not really have a meaning, but when I was sitting there getting tattooed, I was literally like, this is my good and my bad bat. Like, I was not planning on that. I just liked the bats because they were spooky and I like spooky tattoos. But I was sitting there and I was like, this is kind of like the angel and the devil on my shoulder, but it's the collarbone bats. I don't know. I liked it. I liked the concept. But let's see how close we can make these when it comes to making them identical. Alright, so let's go straight into paint mode. I have added a second layer, so hopefully we don't accidentally erase the dagger. I think this is far enough apart to where I can make it work, but I think I'm going to try to do basically the same concept as the last bat, but it's going to be a little bit different, obviously, because the bats are a different shape and they're slightly bigger. So this, I feel like, is probably about the right size. And then we want to rotate them where it looks like the bottom is pointing in. So we could do this one. Let's see, it's right under my collarbones. So we could do like this one here. And then if we rotate it, if we do it negative 96, is that the exact same angle? I'm not good with geometry. I think that's pretty much the same angle. Okay, so we put that there, and that's pretty much identical. But then we have to get the curvature in there, which is what I'm nervous about. We could do this little one again. I mean, it would add that curvature there. So we could do this, like, oh my god, this is probably looking so bad. I will make this look better, I swear. Okay, and now we need to rotate it to where it will do the opposite on this side. So we can make them like touch here. And then we gotta rotate it again to match this one. Oh my god, I feel like that looks horrible, but we're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it work. So we need to go back in with an eraser and just do a brush. And honestly, we can come in on this side and just kind of, no offense, wing the wings. But let's go ahead and just add that little curve into the wings. So I guess I could trace out the curves and then try to make it more even. Okay, so for the actual bat shape, I feel like that's pretty decent. And then we could literally just go in with a little line and add the little ears on the top of the head. And I think that's pretty good. I think I actually did better than I thought I would. They're a little squiggly. They look a little ghostly, but I think it kind of fits the shape I was trying to go for. So now we have all of my current tattoos. So if we go here and we go to tattoos, we have my 2 ankle tattoos. We got my chest tattoos. We got this arm tattooed. We got this shoulder tattooed, and both of my wrist tattooed. So those are all my current tattoos. Now let's go ahead and do the tattoos I'm planning on getting this upcoming few days. So the first tattoo I'm getting in a couple of days is going to be the last tattoo that I need my Sim's hair up for. Thank goodness, because I'm getting kind of tired of looking at my Sim with her hair up. I'm just not used to it. But basically, I'm getting my first neck tattoo. And I honestly am not a neck and face tattoo type of gal. I would probably never get tattooed right here on my neck, and I would never get a face tattoo. Not saying that other people can't, it's just not my personal style. I do have a tattoo planned for behind my ear, and in a few days, I'm getting the first tattoo on the back of my neck. Now, I do plan on having like a kind of whole little piece made out of different pieces on the back of my neck, kind of like I'm doing on the shoulder, but it's going to be smaller. And like I said, all these tattoos I'm getting in this bundle deal are meant to be small and simple. So the first tattoo I'm getting that is small and simple is a keyhole. And that may seem so random to you if you've never seen the show Lock and Key. But basically I don't know if it's still on Netflix because I haven't had Netflix in a couple of years now. But for the several years I did have Netflix before it got hella expensive, there was this show on there that I was obsessed with. Like, I watched several times, and it was called Lock and Key. And if you don't know what this show is about, basically there's this family called the Locke family, and their dad dies in a murder. And after the murder, they end up moving to their dad's family house that was like passed down to them through his death. And when the kids go to live there, they discover that there's like all these magical keys that belong to the house, and they become like the protector of the keys, and they have to like fight off villains. And it's a very good show. Like, a lot of people don't know about the show, but it's a very good show, trust me. So the deal with the keyhole in the back of the neck is basically, like I said, there's a bunch of different keys. And each key kind of does its own thing. So like one you can stick in a mirror and you can trap someone in a mirror. Another one you can stick in a door, and anywhere you think of, you can go to that place as long as you can think about it. There's like, and that's the anywhere key. And there's like all these different keys, but one of the main keys that's actually my favorite key is the head key. So basically, with this key, you can either do it on yourself or walk up behind someone, and you press the key up to the back of their neck and a hole appears. And you're able to put the key in and turn it, and then the person the key is in goes limp, and they get to see themselves from a third perspective. And from there, when they are out in the third perspective, there's this door that pops up for them and all the people around them. And if they go inside that door, they're going inside of the mind of whoever the key is in. And each person's mind is different. And like, they're all different places. So like, one's like an abandoned school. Another's like a mall. Another is like inside a toy chest. And it's like an arcade. It's very interesting in the concept because it kind of gives the thought that everyone's brain is different, and if you go inside a different person's brain, it's going to be different every time because every person is different and their brain is organized different, which I love this because I've always kind of loved that concept that my mind is different than everyone else's and is like a different thought process. So that analogy really spoke to me. So I want to get a keyhole on the back of my neck. Now, like I said, this is going to be a part of a bigger piece. But the reason I wanted to do the keyhole first, one, is separate from the other piece, and two, I just want to see how much pain I can handle, because I feel like the very back of my neck is going to be a very sensitive spot. So we're going to get the keyhole first and then see if I end up getting the other tattoo. So technically this counts as another upper body tattoo. When I go into paint mode, where I'm wanting this, which is basically right here, is actually technically on the back of the upper back. It doesn't count as a face tattoo, which I thought the neck would count as a face tattoo, but apparently only the front counts as a face tattoo. Interesting thought there, but we can go ahead, and like I said, I think this one's going to be pretty simple, so I want to do completely black ink, because it's going to be as black as I can get it, and honestly, we're just going to make a decent size hole. I think this right here will be pretty much the perfect size if I could get it not too smudged. I want it to be maybe even a little bit bigger, honestly. Like that's not that bad of a size. So if we put this here, it won't let me zoom in on it anymore. I wish that we could zoom in on these a little bit better, but we could go ahead and put the font to maybe a 5. And then I kind of just did an outline and filled it in for when I drew it out for the girl doing my tattoos. So I'm just going to kind of try to mimic what I drew. So I put a little curve at the bottom, because that's kind of how the keyhole in the show is shaped. But the keyhole that's going on the back of my neck is going to be a lot thinner, or a lot thicker than the keyhole in the show. We kind of want it to go like that, but not such an awkward shape, if you kind of get what I'm saying. I may have to use the eraser to fix this. Let me just get the outside shape I want, and then let's go in with the eraser. We definitely gotta erase this bottom, make the bottom curve in a little bit, and then erase the corners a little bit more. Kind of round it. There we go. That's kind of a keyhole. That's kind of a keyhole. I feel like this part could be a little bit more round at the top. Maybe we go back to trying to use the circle method. How it was like, maybe like this. You know what? I may have to let that slide. I want to make this corner a little bit round. Nope. Wait, like that. You know what? I'm going to let that slide. I don't know exactly how the keyhole is going to end up looking, but that's close enough for me. Honestly, I think mine's probably going to be even a little bit smaller, but I'm going to let myself have that one and just give myself that, because I would like to put my hair back down. So we're going to go, and I think the hair I had was actually base game. So let's just go to base game hairs, because it was like the old Bella Goth hair. Honestly, I don't know why that's the most fitting for my sim, but it is. So we'll go there. Oh, that looks better. That looks better. I feel a little bit less stressed out now. So this next tattoo, out of all the tattoos I'm getting in a few days, is probably the most detailed and complicated one, but it's still not that bad, especially with the sizing I'm getting on it. But if you are a fan of the book or even the movie or show that this comes from, you may be slightly annoyed at the placement I decided to do it on. So basically, I want to get the tattoo from the series of unfortunate events, that VFD tattoo that goes on the ankle of all the members, especially Count Olaf's ankle. And most of the time, and this is the reason I can't just download it off the gallery, because this tattoo is already on the gallery, but most of the time it goes on the inner left ankle, which obviously I have my grandma tattoo there. It goes exactly where my grandma tattoo would go, and honestly, I probably would have not put my grandma tattoo there if I had remembered I wanted this tattoo, But when the show came out on Netflix, it kind of rekindled my love for the series. I was a huge fan of the books growing up. Like, it was one of my favorite books growing up in elementary school. I already got the grandma tattoo there, but I still wanted to be on the left ankle because if you read the books, you would actually know that some of the members did get it on the outside of their ankle, but they still got it on the left ankle. Most people got it on the inner, so that's kind of where everyone normally gets it. But unfortunately, like I said, I already have a tattoo there, and it was the most painful tattoo I have ever gotten. So I really don't want to get another tattoo there and mess with my grandma's tattoo. So I'm actually going to get it on the same ankle. We're going to get it on the left ankle, but I'm going to put it under my TARDIS. So along with it going on the other side of the ankle, it's actually also going to be a bit smaller than most of the characters in the movie or the show's tattoo. And that's because I wanted to kind of line up with the width of the TARDIS. So it's going to line up more so with the TARDIS than it will the actual size. But I think because I'm doing it like that, if we go into paint mode, I guess this leg needs to be lifted. Obviously, this is going to be a little bit bigger on here than it is going to be in real life, which gives me a little bit of workaround room. But I think if we use one of the smaller size teardrops from the pre-made stencils and rotate it, honestly, I think the smaller size is a little bit more on this size. So if we rotate it here, we could kind of get the general shape of the eye. And then let's lower it down to a 1 and do the erasing effect we've been doing to get the outline of everything. Because it kind of has a thick outline. But what I'm thinking is we could do that. And then we can take the brush and let's go ahead and perhaps widen it a little bit. So we could do like a brush size 4 and just curve it up a little bit more to give it more of that eye shape. And we could do the same right here to give a little bit more of that shape. And then go in with the eraser and shape it up a little bit nicer. Okay, that gives the gist. And then really all you have to do this design is do a line here. Okay, well, I say all you have to do and then I don't shape it right. Okay, so you do a line here. It needs to be a little bit straighter than that. I never thought I would say I need to draw a straight 8 line, but you know, I gotta be straight a little bit, I guess. So we do a straight line there, and then it curves up here to kind of make the V, and then the F is made from a little line here, and then it circles here, and another little circle here. Oh my god, that last one didn't work as well as I wanted it to. Maybe just show it like that. You know what? That's not bad. That's not bad. You can kind of tell what it is. Kinda. Alright. Well, that was the most detailed tattoo I'm getting in a couple of days. It's honestly probably going to be a little bit smaller than that, but that'll work for now. And now the rest of my tattoos are going on my wrist. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the wrist that my first tattoo is on, because this one's going to be a little bit more simple than the other ones. And really, it's going to be quite simple, because all it is going to be 2 little purple hearts outlined in black. So I think we could easily just do the same method we've been doing, but the only thing is these hearts are so much bigger than what I needed. Like, honestly, they're a little too big, but I can't make them any smaller. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put the hearts here. And we're going to use them. But we're going to make them way tinier. So we're going to go in with like a purple color. I think like this is probably the purple I'm going to go for, honestly. And then we're just going to use a regular little brush. And we're going to go in here. And we're going to make little purple hearts. We could honestly probably even do the brush smaller than that. We could do like a 9. And we can draw little purple hearts using the same little outline we had on these black hearts. It doesn't look that great, but it's better than nothing. And then I'm just going to use the eraser and kind of make the black part of the heart that's like outlining the purple a wee bit smaller, so it looks like it's smaller than the little outline part is. But basically, I just kind of wanted these hearts because I have a whole sleeve idea for this arm. Actually, I have a whole sleeve idea for both my arms. But this part of the tattoo needed these 2 hearts here. Like I said, they're going to be smaller. They're probably going to be like half the size. But it's going to go with the heart theme on this wrist. And it kind of completes the picture that's going to go up here. And like I said, the last place I'm getting tattooed is actually the exact same place, just on the other wrist. So if we go into paint mode and lift up our wrist here, obviously we have my Sims tattoo. And I kind of want it to stick in the realm of keeping with a gaming theme on this wrist, but I wanted it to be subtle. So there's this empty line at the top of my wrist that I kind of want to cover. So I thought I would bring in small little icons from smaller games. So I want to do like 3 red life hearts, kind of like representing Nintendo games or Minecraft. And then same with those like Nintendo games, thinking like Mario and whatnot. I'm thinking like 2 little gold stars on either side of the gaming hearts. But like I said, our heart stamps are very big, so there is absolutely no way that this heart is gonna be small enough. But I could do it as a base to start out by. So I'm going to put this heart right in the center, a little bit lower than I want it. And then we're going to come in with red. And we're going to come in with the brush. And we're going to do our best to create some triple hearts. So I think the easiest way to do is just to start with the middle one. Okay, this is already not working out as well as I want it to. Okay, so I literally just want it to be ever so tiny. So something along those lines. So obviously here we can just kind of outline this one. I'm thinking get it a smaller outline. Oh, okay. Yeah. Maybe even a little smaller than that. I'm thinking maybe the 5. And we can kind of do like a little outline of these hearts. Well, here and here. Just a little bit. I can touch it up with an eraser. But this one, I'm going to outline the triangle that's kind of representing the half a heart. And maybe just do some jagged lines there. Okay. I think that's going to be good enough. Obviously, I'm probably going to have it be even smaller than that. But the smaller the detail here, the harder it is to draw. So the last one I want to do is a star. How small does this get? Of course, it does not get small whatsoever. Do we have any other stars? I don't think we do. Well, we have these little moon stars. So I basically just want a yellow star. So I want 2 yellow stars. So if we could... Oh my goodness, we could line it up like that. So how does it look if I just go in and erase the other stars in the moon and just leave that one star? I know it's not very noticeable with my skin color, and we're probably going to outline it in black, but I don't think I could outline that in black if I tried. So we're just going to continue to try to do it like this. So we're going to use the same stamp, the little moon, and rotate it the opposite way maybe. And let's see. Let's put a star right here, and then erase the rest of it. So we'll erase that, erase this part right here. And honestly, you can't really see it that well, but I promise there's 2 little yellow stars on either side. Alright, so right quick, let's do a little bit of a summary. I'm going to go ahead and change myself into my swimsuit just so I have my hair up, and then we can go back into the tattoo mode to actually look at everything. So, to be the most obvious to start off, we have my chest tattoos. So we have my dagger and my 2 bats, which are my 2 currently newest tattoos. We have my keyhole that I'm going to be getting on the back of my neck in a few days. We have my start to my spooky tattoo collage. So we have a moon, we have a bat, we have a graveyard. We also have my coexist tattoo that does not look great in this view, but whatever. We have my Harry Potter snitch, the golden snitch. And then on my lower right arm, we have multiple tattoos. If we go into paint mode so we can zoom in on them. So on my wrist, we have my gaming tattoos. So we have my current sim tattoo. And then I'm getting the 3 hearts with the star. And then also on my upper one, we also have that yin tattoo, as well as my Jack skeleton tattoo, which honestly is better than I thought it would be. I think I impressed myself on that one. And then, of course, we also have my other wrist as well, which has my first tattoo and the 2 purple hearts I will be getting. And then we also have my ankle tattoos. So if we go down to the right leg, is it the left? It's the left leg. Okay. So on my leg, if we go into paint mode and lift my leg up, other leg. I'm getting confused with the legs. Okay, on the inner ankle, we have my grandma coffee cup tattoo. And then on this one, we have my TARDIS tattoo. And I'm getting the volunteer fire department tattoo on that same ankle under the TARDIS. And that is and will be all my tattoos by the end of the week. And this is what it looks like, just me wearing normal clothes. Most of them are honestly normally always covered up, but they're still there. So I hope you enjoyed that. This video honestly took me all day to record. Like, I had to do it in sessions because I was spending so much time on each one of these tattoos. So I will try to make this video a little bit shorter, but I already know it's going to be a little bit of a long one. But hey, I am getting a lot of tattoos. Like, this isn't even the start. This is like maybe a fourth of the tattoos I'll end up with by the end of my lifetime. But I'm really happy with the tattooing system we got in Business and Hobbies. I like that we can customize our own tattoos and really draw anything we want. Now, if I was better at paint mode, I think I would use this feature more. So I'm probably not going to be drawing too many custom tattoos in the future, but it was fun to play around with and put my own tattoos on my own sim. And I will be uploading this sim to the gallery if for some reason you wanted my sim, but I doubt you would. But I'm going to end this one here, you guys. So thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and do all that awesome stuff because you guys are awesome people. I'll see you next time. All right,